Welcome to the Bag Maker's Workroom. I am Chris with Simply Classic, and today is Thursday, January 1st, 2026. Happy New Year! January 1st, unbelievable. Time goes by so fast. We really appreciate you joining us tonight, and I'm very grateful that you chose to spend the night and the first day of the year with us. So it looks like a lot of you are watching football at the same time as watching us. That kind of sounds like my house. Usually it's on the TV, and then I'm on my iPad doing something. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Looks like we have Karen here watching the Rose Bowl. Yes, go Big Ten. Everyone, Grammy Jan says hello, everyone from a very cold Ohio. Happy New Year. And then Marcia says Happy New Year, everyone. So I just want to remind everyone that we're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't join us live, no problem. You can watch the replay at any point. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you're notified when I post a new video or when we go live. So here's what we have planned for today. We're going to start by going over what's new in the Simply Classic Scoop. I'm going to show you our pattern of the week, which is the Gemella wallet, and some perfect pairings for that. Then we're going to do a really quick activity to kind of get us ready for the new year. We're going to talk about the history of Givenchy bags. We're going to feature our customers' bags in Artistry Avenue. And then finally, we'll give away some patterns and do a Q&A at the end. So before we get started, please take a second to click the thumbs up button below. It really does make a difference, and I appreciate it very much. So we're going to start out by going over what's new in the Simply Classic Scoop. And this is where I tell you what's going on behind the scenes or what's new here. So the first thing I want to do is show you this bag that I made. I posted a video this week and made this bag. Now, this is a bag that Janet posted on the Simply Classic bag making community. And it is actually inspired by Dior. It's called the Dior Toujours bag. Now, a quick thing I want to tell you that Simply Classic is not affiliated with or endorsed by any designer or luxury brands. But this designer bag retails for almost $5,000. I mean, it's crazy, $5,000. I made this one for less than $155. And it includes like the cost of the faux, the stiffeners, the lining, the hardware, the thread, everything. And so you can really do a lot, replicate these designer bags for really very little money. Now, this is a big bag. I got to warn you, this is a really big bag. It's 14.5 inches wide, okay? 10.5 inches tall, but it is 8.5. This is 8.5 inches deep. It is crazy how big this is. So I've actually been using this when I go to the office in the morning. I throw my purse in here. I throw whatever papers I need in here. You can fit your laptop in here, your charging cords. I mean, you name it, it holds a lot. So to make the bag, I combined the Bircham pattern and a Simply Classic clutch. In the video tutorial, I give you all of the changes that you need to make to the original Bircham pattern. So this is not a cutting chart pattern. You are going to need those two patterns, and we're going to combine them. Now, if you don't want to quilt, you don't necessarily need the Simply Classic clutch pattern, but if you want to do this quilting pattern, you're definitely going to need it because you're going to need to kind of know how to do it. Through January 10th, we're running a special. If you buy both patterns, you can get them both for $25. So that saves you like $15. You're going to have to add both of them to your cart, and the discount will be applied automatically at checkout. So go check out that video, and I can't wait to see what you make because you guys make some great stuff. I get excited about it. So now I want to give you a little preview of our live stream topics for the month of January. We will be live every Thursday this month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, this week is sort of a creative reset for the new year. Next week, which is January 8th, we'll be sewing a sewing episode, and I'll show you how to make a Dior inspired wallet using the Gemella pattern. We're going to do a little hack. On January 15th, we're talking about man bags, and we're going to look at some designer bag inspiration, and then we'll talk about materials and features that make a bag feel more masculine. On January 22nd, it's another sewing episode, and we're going to hack the Sorella pattern to make it more gender neutral. So, for most of you probably know that Sorella is a hip bag and it's very curvy, and we're going to take some of those curves out and make it a more manly bag. And then finally, on January 29th, we're actually releasing a new pattern for Simply Classic. So anyone who has received a bag making subscription box already knows what that pattern is. For those of you who did not or are not a member of our quarterly subscription club, then you'll find out on January 29th. And it's a good one. So we have a really busy month planned. If you have any questions or topics or ideas for future episodes, we'd love to hear them. We really want to make these episodes fun and informative for you. So you can email any topics to share@simplyclassic.net. So before we move on, we need to pick our giveaway winner from last week's episode. And as a reminder, we give away a PDF pattern to one person watching live and one person who watches the replay. So we have the name of everyone who entered here, and I'm going to draw one winner. We asked you for your first name and your favorite exotic leather. Okay, so go ahead and mix these up. And I am going to choose this one. So this is Cindy Benson. Let me pull that up. There you go. Cindy says, I like the ostrich best. So congratulations, Cindy. Please email share@simplyclassic.net within the next 30 days and let us know which pattern you'd like. You get to choose a pattern. And for everyone else, stick around because we're going to be doing another giveaway at the end of the show. So now it's time to talk about our feature pattern, the Gemella, which is on sale for $12.49 this week, and that is the PDF version only. We also have a version with SVG files, which is on sale for $17.49 right now. So the Gemella is a large bifold wallet, and a lot of people kind of underestimate the size until they see it in person. But this wallet is 8 3/4 inches long, 4.5 inches tall. So it's pretty big. It has a large cell phone wallet on the back. And that's really the main reason why it needs to be this big, is because it's really kind of a carry-all. And that way you can put your cell phone, you put your money, and you can theoretically just grab this and go. I played tennis for a long time, and I was able to just pull my wallet out, stick my cell phone in, throw it in my tennis bag, and I had everything I needed. So we're going to talk about materials. The pattern is written for either faux leather, cork, or real leather, some kind of material that doesn't fray. And the reason why is because it's sewn wrong sides together, and then I edge coat it. Or you don't have to, but I usually do edge coat it. For the interior, we use adhesive lining, which I'm going to show you in just a second, but we're going to go to the overhead so you can take a little bit closer look at this wallet. Okay, so it has a flap closure and it opens up lengthwise like this. You can see the adhesive lining here in this little slot. Basically, I use black for this one, okay? So it's basically used for all the card slots. So you construct the card slots in that way. It has 15 card slots, okay? So you've got several here, obviously several here, and an ID. It also has 2 zippers that you can put, of course, cash, receipts, change, whatever you need in here. And then, as I mentioned, it has a great cell phone slot here, and you can obviously fit your cell phone in. Now, there is a second tab piece that you could put on the back here that's wider if you want to use a magnetic snap instead of a push snap like this. This also here in the front, you can either use this as a magnetic snap, but you could certainly use a twist lock. You could use a regular snap. You could, do a lot with this, and you can easily customize it. So if you don't need 15 card slots, you could certainly do something different. You don't have to put all of these. You could actually put 2 ID wallets if you wanted to do that. You could theoretically put the cell phone portion in the side. I mean, there's just a lot that you can do. We really tried to make sure that this cell phone wallet or pocket fit all size cell phones. So we, of course, went around the office and asked everybody, whenever I make a bag, I need your cell phone for a minute so I can check it out and see if it fits. Because, you know, obviously they come in all different sizes now. Now, one of the things you can do with this wallet is make it into a crossbody. So we're going to stay here in the overhead, and I'm going to show you a crossbody version that I made. Now, this is made with real leather, okay? This is our barely pink color. And what I did with this is added 2 small tabs to make it a crossbody. And then I just used some of our chain and wove some of the leather through the chain. Instead of using a magnetic snap, I used a twist lock here and quilted it, okay? Love the quilting on that. And then, of course, you can see all of the credit card slots. Now, I wanted to make sure when I was wearing this on my body that all of my credit card slots actually were facing up. So I changed the configuration of one of these sides, and I'll show you how to do that in the video. And then the other thing that I did was change the cell phone pocket to facing up instead of facing to the side, because I want to be able to pull my cell phone out. Okay, so you can easily turn this into a little crossbody. This has been, a lot of people have done this. This is a really great hack for it. And it's beautiful, especially in this leather. It is so nice. All right. So the Gemella wallet is written for confident beginners, and it's really not a difficult pattern. The hardest part is probably just getting the adhesive lining right if you've never worked with it before, but don't let that intimidate you. It's a pretty small piece of adhesive lining that you use. It's long, but it's thin. When you make those credit card slots, it makes it a lot easier because the adhesive lining is a very thin rip stop. I walk you through every step in the video how to do it, so you'll be an expert at no time. The adhesive lining we carry is very forgiving. It's easy to unstick and move around a little bit if you need to kind of smooth out any wrinkles. And you could also use regular fabric or lining if you prefer. So both are really great options. So Cindy says, does that leather need to be skived? So no, our leathers are lambskin leathers. They are basically 0.8 millimeters for an average in thickness. And so anything that thin, you do not need to skive. So I personally want to make bags on machines. I want to make my leather bags on machines. And a lot of the leather that is carried in some of your big box stores, and I say big box stores, the ones we know like Tandy and Weaver and Rocky Mountain, are thicker leathers that need to be skived. Ours do not. I went on the hunt specifically to make sure that our leathers do not have to be skived, and you can make pretty much all of the bags that we have, all the different patterns. So again, the PDF pattern's on sale for $12.49 this week. That discount will end in 2 weeks on Wednesday, January 14th. So now it's time for perfect pairings, and this is where we match some of our leather, faux leather, with lining, thread, and hardware. If you're ever unsure about what goes together, feel free to reach out via email. We're always happy to help. And today I have some materials that I think would look amazing on a Gemella. I actually made a Gemella using this first pairing that I'm about to show you. So we're going to go to the overhead, and I'm going to show you this one right here. So for this, and I'm going to show you the Gemella I made here in just a minute. We used our diagonal D motif in burgundy and cream. Then we used our faux suede in the color Merlot. And then I also used a cream solid. So I used 3 this time instead of just 2. Now, you'll see next week when we make this bag that I actually used 2 different thread colors. I used ripe raisin and sand, and these come in both either text 45 or text 70. I used our cream adhesive lining and then bronze hardware. So let me show you the wallet that I made with this. And this is a hack, again, that we're going to do next week. So if you're interested in making this, you can go ahead and grab the materials. So this is a Dior inspired wallet, and this is the Gemella. Okay, I show you, we have a couple pattern changes and we don't use all the pattern pieces. Made it very basic because the Dior wallet was very basic. Okay, it has no zippers, it has no coin slots. It's basically more of like a credit card wallet. I show you how to make the change for this actual flap. And then on the inside, I have one magnetic snap. And then on the inside, I have all of the credit cards. Okay. Now you could put ID wallet or your ID windows here if you like. I didn't do that. You could also add a couple more slots if you needed to, but this is really enough for me. I also went through and edge painted this. I don't know if you can see here on the side that is edge painted. And so I edge painted it in a wine color, I believe it was, edge paint. So again, if you're interested in doing this, go ahead and grab the materials. If you are interested in making more than one, I mean, obviously the materials that I just showed you will certainly make more than one Gemella wallet. Now, for a leather pairing, we chose a couple of hides that we thought would look really great together. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the overhead. And we chose some smaller hides because the Gemella, you don't need that much leather or fabric or anything. So these are some smaller hides that we have. We have our Holy Camel. And Holy Camel is almost like a suede type. It's got, the reason why we call it Holy Camel is because you see it has little holes in it. You can see my hand behind there. It's like teeny tiny little holes. And it's really a beautiful camel color. Then we chose olive. We think that olive would go really beautiful with this. Okay, that would make a gorgeous Gemella wallet. We also chose our olive adhesive lining, bronze hardware, and then a chocolate brown thread. And of course, the chocolate brown comes in both Tex 70 and Tex 45. So we really think this would be absolutely gorgeous. And these leathers are super thin. They do not have to be skived. And I'm going to try to show you here so you can see how really thin this is. Okay, this is about, again, 0.8 millimeters thick. I mean, it's really, you can see it's soft, very, very soft. And so you would just use this just like you would use a faux leather. All right, so I would love to see a Gemella made in that. So if one of you are interested in that, the leathers are 10% off this week. Okay, so now we are going to do something fun. We're going to do an activity, something a little different. And it kind of puts me on the spot, but that's okay. We're going to have some fun with it. So, you know, it's New Year. We want to talk about what's happening in this new year. We want to get some ideas. And, you know, at first we thought about setting goals, or New Year's resolutions, but sometimes that can put a lot of pressure on us. And within the first few weeks, that's kind of out the door. So we decided to do something a little bit more inspirational and a little more fun, but something that will still get us excited for the new year of bag making. So we're going to do a quick activity, nothing too intense. You can do this along with me if you'd like, but it's fine if you'd rather just watch. You can go ahead and do it later. If you would like to join, grab a piece of paper and a pen or something to write with. I'll explain how this works. So we're going to take a couple minutes to sketch out one of our dream bags. Okay, just something maybe you have in your mind. Don't overthink it. That's the key to this. Just sketch. And you don't even have to be an artist. You're going to see I'm really a bad artist, okay, when it comes to drawing. But it can be as simple or as extravagant as you want. If you think your ideal bag has a phone charger in it, draw it in. If you think it's covered in a million tiny gemstones, draw it in. It really is something that it's just to get the idea going. Doesn't have to be realistic. Don't limit yourself. Just kind of go with your gut. And it doesn't have to be super technical. So we're not going for realism here. We're just going to do some fun stuff. So I'm going to do this along with you. So, and I'll kind of walk you through what I'm doing as I'm drawing. And then we're going to have a second part to this activity, which is going to be asking some questions. So we're going to go to the overhead. And you guys are going to get to see what kind of artist I am. Okay, so I have some markers here. And I have in mind, my gut, what I'm thinking is, I don't know if you remember last week, I showed you that snapping turtle tail. Would love to make a bag with that. So basically the way that would have to be done is you're going to have like an inlay on your bag. And the snapping turtle, if you remember, it had kind of those scaly things going down and, you know, kind of going across like this. And right now this looks like a piece of pizza, but that's okay. Okay. So I think that probably around that, I would like some kind of maybe banding to kind of highlight it, even though it's a highlight in itself. So on the banding, and I'm thinking of this being a leather bag, I think some kind of like stitching on it, like weaving maybe some lace would be pretty. So let's say we do this, and this is my lacing stitches, come down, okay. And, you know, depending on how big this turtle tail is, it's obviously going to depend on how big the bag is. But I do think that by kind of making this a larger tote, I think that would be pretty. And let's see if we can come down with this. Now, this seems a little boring. I think that maybe if we come down this way and then we'd have our side. So maybe this is angled in. Okay. So what I'm thinking is the front may be angled in, and then you also have a section here where it's angled out. So it just gives you a little more interest, maybe like a band along the top too. And maybe you've got some stitching on this, some lacing, but maybe not as much. I don't know. Okay. And then, of course, we need some strap connectors on here. So let's say we have strap connectors that kind of come up, follow this stitch line. So here would be a strap connector, and here would be a strap connector. Maybe some kind of really pretty thick hardware O-rings. And then we'd have our strap coming up. Okay. So that's my quick rendition of some kind of bag that features this turtle tail. Okay. So now let's think about let's think about these questions that we want to ask ourselves. So one of the things that you need to think about is write down 1 to 3 words that describe the bag you created. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is going to be a very sophisticated bag. And it's going to be very classy and eye-catching. Okay, because I want it to be like somebody sees it and goes, "Wow, what is that? You know, where did you get that? That's really beautiful." So now we want to write down 1 to 3 words that describes the kind of person who's going to carry this bag. So I would say someone who, in my mind, someone who is successful. Maybe someone who's a little edgy. And maybe I'm picturing like, and this is probably not as much of a kind of more of a successful, but like a working woman bag. Okay, so they're going to the office. You know, they're successful in whatever they do. But they're a little edgy. Okay, because this is a little different. So now let's write down 1 to 3 words featuring some of the materials on this bag. Maybe something I've never worked with before. So like I mentioned, I definitely want to work with my snapping turtle. So that's going to be one thing. I definitely want it to be leather. And then, you know, like I said a second ago, I want it to be chunky. Like I want to use some kind of chunky or statement hardware. All right. And now finally, write down the favorite thing about this bag that you just sketched. And for me, the favorite thing is this inlay. So I'm going to say snapping turtle inlay. And just for those of you who may not remember, or maybe you haven't seen the episode yet, this is the snapping turtle that I'm talking about. So what I'm thinking about is like cutting these two sections off and taking this here and inlaying it in the center of a bag. And, you know, just kind of going from there, but outlining it as well is kind of what I'm thinking. So anyway, so that kind of gets my creativity going a little bit. And, you know, it gets me thinking outside the box a little bit. If you're ever just, you know, sitting watching TV or something and you suddenly get an idea, or maybe you see something that sparks, do a little drawing of it. I actually have been doing some clean out of some of my old sketchbooks and stuff. And I found some pictures, some things I drew of some bags I had in mind like a year ago or 2 years ago. I don't even know how long it was. And now I'm thinking about, oh, let me revisit those, because, you know, a lot of times you get ideas at times you really wouldn't think you would. Keep a little sketch pad in your bag, and especially if you're going to carry this big Dior du jour bag, you're going to have plenty of room. Add a little sketch pad. It doesn't have to be big, it can just be a little one. And just as you think of things, go ahead and sketch them out. You don't have to be an artist. As you can see, I'm not an artist. I am far from it. Okay, so I hope that that kind of, you know, gives you some ideas of maybe what you can do for the new year. You don't have to make this bag, but I think it would be neat to make. I think it would be, you know, you got 12 months to maybe do something here and maybe make the bag. It was just to kind of get your, you know, your creativity going. So, you know, hopefully it gives you some insight as to who you are as a bag maker, and maybe it'll give you some priorities and some preferences, some things you want to do for the new year. Again, you know, none, I think, set in stone, just something to get your mind going. Okay, so now it is time for the Thursday thread. And this is where I share a sewing story or a design story. And this week, we're going to look at the history of Givenchy. Now, Givenchy is a French luxury fashion house that was founded in 1952 by the designer Hubert de Givenchy. Or Givenchy, sorry, he got another D in there. He was born into a French noble family in 1927. His father passed away when he was young, and he was raised by his mother and his maternal grandmother. That side of the family was very artistic. They owned 2 famous textile factories in France, and they had been very successful in the art world for generations. So Hubert moved to Paris at the age of 17, and that's where his design career got started. As we were kind of reading through this earlier, we thought, my gosh, Paris must have been a bunch of teenagers running around trying to be designers at one point, because it seems like they all moved to Paris when they were teenagers to try to make something of themselves. Paris has got to be a crazy place, or at least back then. So anyway, that's when he, you know, his design career got started, like so many others. And basically his late teens and his early 20s. He worked for some really successful fashion designers in Paris. And then in 1952, when Hubert was 25 years old, he opened up his own design house, and he became the youngest couturier in Paris. You can believe that. So even though he came from a very prominent family, he really didn't have unlimited funds. He had to be thrifty in those years and mostly worked with raw cotton, like shirting, because it was very affordable. Most designers only used shirting at that time for fittings and not for finished garments, but he really made it work, and people loved his innovative designs. His first collection was made up of separates, and it featured a lot of voluminous garments. The most popular was the Bettina blouse, which was named for a model by the name of Bettina Graziani, who was one of his friends and supporters. In 1953, Givenchy was hired to design costumes for the film Sabrina, starring Audrey Hepburn. The two of them grew very close on set and ended up being lifelong friends. In fact, Audrey Hepburn was a muse to Givenchy. He went on to design the iconic little black dress that she wore in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and she became the face of Givenchy's first fragrance collection. Look at how young she looks there on the right. Gosh. So Givenchy's career was really taking off, and within a few years, he was considered one of France's most successful fashion designers. Famous actresses, singers, political figures, and socialites traveled from all over the world to get custom Givenchy designs. But not all of his pieces were custom. His ready-to-wear collections were very successful too. Some of his first popular designs included classic sweaters, open-sided pumps, and fashionable hats. So curiously, though, he was not known for his handbag designs. You know, a lot of them started that way, didn't they? They really weren't known for handbags. So in the late 1960s, Hubert launched a new men's line of clothing. The business continued to thrive and set trends throughout the 70s and 80s. In 1988, Givenchy sold the company to, let's guess, who does everybody sell to? Louis Vuitton. So LVMH, which is the parent company for Louis Vuitton. However, he stayed with the company for a few more years until he retired in 1995. After retirement, he lived in a castle with his lifelong partner and fellow fashion designer, Philippe Denet. And in his later years, Givenchy focused on collecting and curating art. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 91. So he only became known for his handbags in the more recent years. So let's talk about some of the other designers who made Givenchy what it is today in the handbag world. So when the founder retired, the designer John Galliano took over for 1 year. He was a bit edgier than Hubert, but his designs still followed most of the classic house codes. He continued Givenchy's tradition of hat making at a time when this style of hat was not super common. His bag designs were fairly classic and structured, which we see here. He also used a lot of florals and long, sleek lines. Galliano left after 1 year to go to work at Dior, and Alexander McQueen took over. And this was a controversial choice because his designs were very edgy. He took inspiration from Victorian Gothic influences, biker culture, and futurism. His designs were more daring and sexy and very theatrical. A lot of people felt like he didn't show any of the restraint that the brand was known for. The bag in the middle is hard to see, but it was inspired by taxidermy and it has horns on the front. Definitely a different look for the company. In 2001, a Welsh designer by the name of Julian McDonald took over the reins, and he maintained some of that edginess that Alexander McQueen was known for, especially in his handbag collections. Here we can see a few examples. We have a slouchy bag with fringe on the left, which could be somewhat biker inspired. The black bags on the right look like doctor bags, and then they also kind of sort of have a biker look to them, right? Very different. And then there's a huge hobo bag in the middle that almost looks as big as the model. I mean, that thing is huge. It has a lot of accents. The strap is thick. Like you can see little D-rings there on the straps, just little details in it. So the golden era for Givenchy bags started in 2006. A new creative director, Riccardo Tisci, joined the company. He introduced their first big hit in the handbag world, the Nightingale, which is this kind of Gothic-inspired bag on the left. It has a really unique strap ends and a zipper handle. A few years later, he introduced the Antogona, which is the trapezoidal bag on the right. This bag also became a huge hit. These two bags really set the stage for designers who would come next, because now Givenchy was known for their bags. So next came Claire Waite Keller, who continued the trend of luxury it bags. She introduced new bags with quilting, exotic textures, and unique shapes like what we have here. And, you know, for me, I love that fall winter 2018 bag. I think it was very pretty. Reminds me a little bit of the bag I just made, the Dior bag, same color, quilting on it. And even that bag in the center is really pretty. The one on the right's a little different, but that's okay. You know, looks cool. Definitely, I don't know how practical it is, but definitely neat looking. So in 2020, an American designer named Matthew Williams became the new creative director. He introduced two very popular bags, the G Hobo, which is a slouchy crescent-shaped bag with chunky hardware, which you see on the left, and then the Voyageur bag, and this is a French slang for bad boy. I'm not even sure how to say that. It's a slouchy biker inspired bag. It's kind of cool, actually. I kind of like the details on the front there. That one's a little, I don't know, I like that one. So the current creative director is an English designer named Sarah Burton. People are crediting her with reinventing the brand's entire look, sort of a creative reset like what we did today on a much bigger scale. She actually worked with Alexander McQueen for many years, so she comes from kind of that edgy avant-garde world, but her style is actually a little more classic. These are some of the bags she's shown on the runway. They're pretty simple. They each have like one feature that makes them unique. And it's interesting to see that she brought back that kind of floral motif that Givenchy is known for. We saw it on some of the bags from the 1990s and earlier. So the very first bag that Sarah Burton designed was this one here, and it's called the Pinch. It's refined and elegant with clean lines and unique hardware. It's definitely different look than the slouchy designs and patent leather we saw from some of the older creative directors. Let me know which style you prefer. Personally, I like the classic look that we saw. That's kind of my favorite. But, you know, again, a lot of these bags are simple, but a lot of them are out there too. Alexander McQueen definitely has got a different idea about fashion than a lot of others. So that is where Givenchy is today. Even though the brand used to be known for garments and hats, they've really made a name for themselves in the handbag world over the past 20 years. Love both the G Hobo and the, I want to say Voodoo. I know it's not Voodoo, but that's what it looks like, Vodo bag. I like the Pinch bag. Okay. And then Zena says that big red bag is gorgeous. This is where you can get a lot of, Christine says she likes the cream one. This is where you can get a lot of inspiration. And I hope that these live streams that we do, where we have a designer bag inspiration section, or even just some history like this, that's what's going to get your creative juices flowing. If something isn't practical, it's okay. Draw it, just come up with some different ideas. And then you can always change it as you're constructing it to make it a little different. Key is always starting with trying to find a pattern that most closely resembles it and then making changes from there. So now it's time for Artistry Avenue. Every week we choose 3 bags that were posted in the Simply Classic bag making community on Facebook, or that were emailed to share@simplyclassic.net. If we feature your bag, you can get a free PDF pattern of your choice. You have 30 days to email share@simplyclassic.net to let us know which pattern you would like. So let's take a look at this week's artists. Ginger made this Gemella wallet, which is what our featured pattern for tonight, and actually for the next few weeks. I really love the leather she used. It's actually real lizard leather that she got from her local fabric shop, which I love that. She had just enough to make the wallet, and she really did an amazing job. She used adhesive lining for the interior, which is great because it kept it nice and thin. And then she added her Dragonfly Studio Bag tag on the cell phone pocket. Next, we have Patra, and she made these 2 beautiful booster bags using a Louis Vuitton logo fabric that she had. She said that the fabric wasn't quite wide enough to cut it on the fold. So she added a 1/2 inch on both the main and top pieces, sewed them together, and then top stitch. So you can see like down the center, she has a seam there. And, you know, you really did a great job, Patrick, because the reason why she added the 1/2 inch was because she needed to add a seam allowance. So good job on that. Good thinking on that. And then, of course, it really worked out perfectly, and these bags look amazing. And I like what she did with the strap on the white bag. It looks like she added chain to make it a little bit longer. And if I remember right, Patra won a contest with her Busta a while ago. I think we showed it on an earlier episode. It was a beautiful black, I can't remember if it was leather or if it was faux leather. It was absolutely gorgeous, maybe a crocodile pattern. And so she must just be like, you're like the Busta lady, because I mean, it is amazing. Your bag, you obviously love this pattern. It's really an easy pattern too. It's a great bag. So finally, we have this really cool bag made by Anthony. Now, this is amazing because he took this bag, he made it with the Leah and the Julie. He combined those two. So the Leah is a big tote bag with a built-in water bottle divider. And then the Julie is a tote bag with a slip pocket on the front and the back. So he mixed and matched those patterns to come up with this bag. I love, love, love this. I love when you guys do this. I think it is just so innovative and so amazing. And you can put things together in ways that I didn't think about. And that's what I love. So he made the pocket a little deeper. You can see it's got like a curve to that, which is absolutely gorgeous. He added, of course, a seam to add the pocket in. I like the black behind the pocket too. I think that really makes it stand out even more. The fabric is so unique, and I love the chevron webbing strap too. It is absolutely amazing. You did an excellent job, Anthony. Bravo. Looks fantastic. So thank you to our artists, Ginger, Patra, and Anthony, for sharing your amazing makes. You are very talented, and don't forget to email share@simplyclassic.net within 30 days to let us know which pattern you would like. So before we move on to our Q&A, let's talk about our 2 giveaways. We're giving away 2 PDF patterns of your choice. We'll choose one live stream winner tonight from the chat, and then we're going to do one for the replay. So if you're watching live on Thursday, here's how to enter. All you need to do is type the word New Year in the chat. So New Year, NEWYEAR, no space, just New Year. And please just type it one time. We're going to let the computer pick a winner. This is open worldwide, so no matter where you are, go ahead and try. If you're watching the replay, you can also enter to win. We need you to leave a comment that includes 2 things. That's your first name and one topic you like us to cover on a live stream this year. So you have until Wednesday to enter, and I will randomly choose a winner on next week's episode. So let's see if we have any questions. Looks like we do. Okay. So Cheryl Joseph says, pinch bag is great. Do you have a good source for unique hardware? That's a really good question. When I'm looking for something really different, I go to Bringberry Hardware. I believe they're located in Canada, but they have got things that I don't see anywhere else. You can try to do like a Etsy as well, but that Bringberry Hardware, they have good quality hardware, and they have some really unique pieces. All right, let's see. LA Sweet, which is Lisa Sweet, says, Chris, what is the secret for edge painting on faux? So that's a great question. I edge paint differently on faux than I do on leather. So when I am edge painting on faux leather, I use a different base coat. Same edge paint, but a different base coat. For leather, I'm using a Uniters base coat that I get at Rocky Mountain Leather. It's much more watery, so it's much thinner, and it soaks into the leather really well and creates a nice coat for that base coat. When I do a faux leather, I'm actually using shoot, I'm trying to think of the name of it now. Yeah, Giardini, the Giardini edge paint. And the reason why I use that on Faux is because it's thicker and covers better, tends to fill in the gaps a little bit better. Because, of course, the whole idea behind edge painting is you're taking two pieces of leather or faux leather, you're stitching them together, you're gluing them together, and then what you're trying to do is make that top edge look like one solid piece. Okay, so you don't see that there are two pieces of fabric or leather or faux leather that are coming together there. Okay, let's see if we have a winner. So Vicky Sage, congratulations. You have won a PDF pattern of your choice. So go ahead and email share@simplyclassic.net. And if you can do that within the next 24 hours, that would be great. And then we can go ahead and get you the pattern that you would like. So thank you so much for joining for the Backpackers Workroom. We are excited about this year. We have a lot of great things planned and are always looking for your input because we want to make sure that these are informative and fun for you as well. So make sure you join us next Thursday, January 8th at 7 p.m. Again, we're going to be doing this Dior hack next week. It is... You know, one thing I'm going to say tonight is that to me, it seems like the wallet should go this way, but and I show you in the video, on the actual Dior wallet, they have it going this way and with the pattern kind of going sideways. Okay. So, and then they've got their logo here. So anyway, make sure you stay tuned for this. It is kind of cool the way we hack it. Again, not difficult. Basically just using two pattern pieces and we're going to adjust them. Credit card slots, as far as making them, are done exactly the same way as the Gemella. So go ahead and grab your Gemella, grab any of the, if you'd like to copy this exactly, go ahead and get your supplies. If not, again, it doesn't take a lot of faux or leather. You could probably, you have something in your stash that you can use. So don't forget to submit your makes by posting them in the Simply Classic Facebook group or emailing share@simplyclassic.net. Please remember to click that thumbs up button on the way out. Everybody have a fabulous week. Happy New Year and happy sewing.